Hey, listen, we're going to have a little bit of fun because I do want to talk about some of the news and notes in wrestling before we jump into Eric Young.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw, I mean, it's already been well established that John Cena has announced he's going to do like a farewell tour. He's going to finish his in-ring career at the end of 2025. So we're a calendar year and change left before John Cena hangs up the boots. And over the weekend, Tanahashi from New Japan announced the same. He's doing a farewell tour just like John Cena. And what's ironic is when Cena was on top here in America, Tanahashi was on top in Japan. And I saw a lot of people who really followed the New Japan scene who would say things like Tanahashi's sort of like the John Cena of Japan as far as star level and placement on the card, importance to the promotion and things like that. And to know that they're both doing farewell tours next year, that's pretty interesting. I like that. What'd you think?
It's wow. So catch me up. Tanahashi announced that this weekend.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think that means Wrestle Dome next year, Wrestle Kingdom next year at the Tokyo Dome is probably his farewell.
Farewell.
Yes.
2026 or just coming up in 3
Not 3 months from now. 15 months from now. The exact same fucking timeline as John Cena. The same time.
Oh, Cena said he's closing it up at 25. You're pitching the show for 2026 , but we're splitting
it's 7 days later, Jeff. Yeah.
Geez.
What are we talking about, Jeff? It's a fucking week. Wrong.
Has got you all wound up. You're all out of sorts. You are you know what? Is your
Tanahashi, you've been there in Japan.
Is your taint stinky today?
Not anymore. I got Mando.
Okay, Tanahashi has more charisma that you have to kind of look. A lot of folks and they may or may not have seen him, but when you hear a Japanese crowd roar as a Tanahashi match is, I'll say, picking up steam. It is a very, very inspiring. The people love him, and that, going back to the 101, the emotional connection, that is going to be an incredibly lucrative farewell tour. And what a perfect time it's coming for New Japan. Hats off to all of them. That's very, very cool to kind of see. That's that's exciting. I'm curious to see kind of the different stops along the way, what they do, how they present it. That's a big thing in NASCAR, Conrad, and I don't want to go in a rabbit hole here, but, over the last, 5, 7, 10 years, and I used to follow it a lot closer than I did, but when a driver would know that they're in contract year and this is going to be their last year, they go ahead and announce it. And when they go to every track, it's some, memories and different VIP meet and greets, and it's just they just completely blow it out. Yes, make a boatload of money off of it, but it's a real special thing for the fans. It's the last time they're racing on the track. And so Tanahashi will have a lot of, we both know the world of lastmatch.com. So there's going to be a lot of last matches in that year, last match in this venue and that venue, and all those kind of things, which will be super special. So congrats. What a career, and incredible, almost unparalleled, Tanahashi, when you truly know the legend of Tanahashi and how he came up through the ranks and the legendary title runs and all that. So, wow, parallel with Cena. Let me throw something at you. Cena versus Tanahashi.
It's got to happen next year.
Interesting.
Wouldn't it be cool too? I mean, I'm not suggesting we extend it, but I'd love to see Cena before he hangs it up in a Tokyo Dome show. That'd be wild. And I realize New Japan has a great affiliation with AEW, and that makes it politically difficult. But Tanahashi versus John Cena in the Tokyo Dome, I'm not suggesting it should happen, but I am saying we got to see Bryan Danielson in some cool arenas this last year. Some cool venues that maybe we didn't think we'd see. I mean, we saw him at Wembley, and we saw him at Arena Mexico and some others. It'd be neat to see John Cena check some of those boxes. But yeah, Tanahashi announced January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom 20, January 4th, 2026.
Yep.
That'll be his last match. Speaking of New Japan, we are going to talk about Eric Young, but before we do, Zack Sabre Jr. won the big belt. He's the New Japan heavyweight champion. He beat Naito. Man, I didn't see that coming for a long time. It felt like Zack Sabre Jr., for better or worse, was considered a light heavyweight. And there's been a lot of talent who started there and then moved their way up, guys like Kenny Omega and so forth. But man, how cool is that? Bravo to Zack Sabre Jr. That's a big belt. That's a big deal.
You are dropping knowledge on me today. All right, I got to ask you, when did that happen?
A few hours ago.
Okay, so I'm not that out of touch. I was
last night in Japan, which is technically tonight in Japan, today.
Okay, so I'm not that out of touch.
No,
I landed, went to the, like I said, went to the gym, watched some football, spent family time, all that. Okay. Conrad, that's very interesting. I'm like you. I thought, and this is not a compliment or a knock or any of that. Just what you said. I didn't think New Japan was taking him in that direction. But dude, that is incredible for that guy. I remember seeing Zach on some independent shows. Gosh, that's 10 years ago now. What an ascension. Okay, so the load is on his shoulders. Where is he going to take it? Okay, here we go. Naito, that's congrats, Zach. Very, very happy for you. Last year at Wrestle Dream, looking reviewing the notes, him and Danielson had an incredible bout. And 12 months later, he's the IWGP champion.
Who'd have thought, man? Super awesome. Really glad to see that that's the case.
Yeah.
Of course, we should mention that.
Where did it happen? Do you have that? What venue?
No idea. Don't have it in front of me. Just saw he won the belt and thought I should mention it.
Okay. All right.
I do want to mention that there's a little Memphis action coming to adfreeshows.com. How about Memphis Memories, Jeff? We've added a brand new series that's going to feature your old pal, Downtown Bruno. Now, you may be familiar with his work in the WWF as Harvey Whippleman, but my goodness, Bruno Lauer, long before he was the man in New York running around with Sid and all the others, he was a big part of Memphis wrestling. And a who's who came through Memphis, whether it was Randy Savage or Stone Cold Steve Austin or Hulk Hogan or The Rock or The Undertaker, The Ultimate Warrior, Sting, so many others. But of course, Jerry Lawler. And by God, Double J too. Bruno was there for a lot of these legends to get their start. And then, of course, he spent decades behind the scenes with the World Wrestling Federation. This is going to be fun, man, and it's exclusive to adfreeshows.com. How about Downtown Bruno telling some stories? It's going to be fun, isn't it?
I saw that come across the X thread. Connie, I had the biggest smile on my face because it took me back to I can see it right now. My dad had his desk and he kind of a bigger chair, not like this. He'd always lean back in it, but there was two chairs and the table set in between had all the wrestling magazines that would come in all the time. And I'd have to sit there and thumb through wrestling magazines as my dad was on the phone waiting for different things. But one time he hung up the phone. He said, "Hey, we've got a guy named Bruno Lauer, Downtown Bruno." He said he's from Fort Duquesne Boulevard and went through all this. And a guy named Goliath, Judge Dredd. I mean, he had some characters coming down, but that's when Bruno came. And Bruno was a young man like myself who came down, but man, he immediately put his roots. He lived in Nashville because that was kind of easier on the miles, Memphis down and back, Louisville down and back. It was a centralized location, but it wasn't too long where he set up roots in Memphis. And he stayed. I mean, he didn't go anywhere. And then when he got with the WWF at the time, Memphis is his home. And so he came to Memphis and never left. The proud citizen of Walls, Mississippi, which is just across the border. So Conrad, that show, Memphis Memories, is going to be, and he's got, I mean, look, Bruno ain't afraid to talk. And so he'll have stories, firsthand accounts of different guys, even from the early 80s when he wasn't there. And he'll be able to talk. Conrad, that's going to be, that kind of goes right. I love the Lucha Libre show with Sam, but Memphis Memories is going to be one of those. Who's co-hosting with him?
Stupid ass Matt Coon.
Well, let's not call him stupid ass.
No. He's my friend. No. That's just no. I love Matt Coon. Let me be clear. That's just my nickname for him.
Well, okay. But what I'm saying is, whoever's doing the research, get ready, because Bruno will bounce all over the place. But man, it'll be entertaining as hell. So I'm excited that you guys, us guys, ad free. That's gonna be good, man. That it's very interesting because it is unlimited content. And I can't wait to tell Bruno. I want Bruno to tell the story. So I want this a part of one of the first 4 or 5 episodes about when Bruno walked around with a handcuff on one arm, and it was attached to a briefcase because that's where all of his belongings were. And one morning at Memphis TV, Lawler looked at him 8:30 in the morning and say, "Hey, Bruno, do you think you're drawing attention to that briefcase?" He said, "King, everything I own that's valuable is in this briefcase." And Lawler said, "Well, don't you think you ought to be a little bit?" Anyway, I could tell stories. That's going to be a blast. Bruno is a lot of fun and a historian, walking, talking historian. It's going to be fun, pal.
And Matt Coon is a great conversationalist, a hardcore wrestling fan, a longtime wrestling fan, a thoughtful and insightful wrestling fan. It's going to be a conversation like no other that happens on adfreeshows.com. Of course, it's Memphis Memories, and it is now another piece of our offering, along with Learning Lucha with Sam Adonis, Tully Vision with Tully Blanchard, Monday Mailbag with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, The Book with David Crockett, Pod Ain't Easy with The Godfather, Lex Express with Lex Luger. Man, there's a whole host of bonus content, more than 100,000 hours, more than you can possibly even consume, all waiting for you right now at adfreeshows.com.